house. Oh. Over there. What's up? How's everybody doing? Bagong tabas, and of course, nakalat ng lunas. I just wanted to look for a rhyme, man. It's very corny now that it came out of my mouth. Not everybody's manjin with the whole rhyming. I really love how you guys engaged with the last video, greatest roamers of all time in MPL PH history. That one was quite a shocker because, again, roamers, it's a relatively tame role. I was expecting like gold laners and upcoming junglers to be more of a hit, but roamers is so far the most poppin'. Maraming salamat sa support ninyo. I'd like to shout out a few people before we start this video here. Almirante, Errol Liera, Crazy Frezzy, Crimson 9, Rizel Legara. Oh, that's Liz Legara. All right. Noel Lumanas, Ronel ST, Rumasha, JR, and KB from MPL ID. How you doing, man? What's up? You guys have shared your thoughts about your personal list of greatest roamers of all time, and this is just one of the few or some of the many comments that video got. So again, thank you so much. For you to be featured on the next video, comment on this one, all right? And click subscribe while you're at it. So I took to Twitter and asked you guys what I should cover next. I mean, it's very clear that there's two roles left here to discuss, and it's either mid laners or junglers. And the polls were very clear. There were, a bunch of you guys that agreed, and I agree with you. I want to talk about mid laners. And the thing is, it's actually a struggle, I have to admit. As a great Dave Grohl said, I have a confession to make. I'm no fool. Is that how the song goes? Basta, nahirapan ako dito because it's very clear what you're looking for when you're talking about roamers, right? Even if there are different kinds of roamers, it's very clear what you're looking for if it's a gold laner that you're talking about. But what about mid laners? There's very, very specific kinds of mid laners that you remember or ways that they played. But luckily enough, sakto, earlier this week, the MPL actually announced the Hall of Legends. We are naming our GOATs of all time, and I don't know, sakto, di ba? We're talking about the greatest per role. Maybe, just maybe, this exercise or these videos, these discussions could help you figure out who's in your top 10. Who are your GOATs? Who's in the Hall of Legends? Alright, so let's get into it. Let's talk about the greatest mid laners in the history of MPL PH. I have 3 honorable mentions and a top 3. And I have to admit, itong honorable mentions ko parang dapat 4. Pero sabi ko, okay, if I'm gonna add 1, then what does that make the other? And then da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Some of them might be missing here. Some of your favorites, some of my favorites, but it's a tough list to make. I wanted to have at least some representation of the different kinds of mid laners that I look up to, all right? Going all the way back to even the earliest seasons of MPL PH. Let's start with my first honorable mention. Season 3 champion, playing for Archangel. He was also the MVP in the grand finals, if I'm not mistaken. Talking about Rio. He was also once the coach of Onyx PH, and Rio's Gushon is a thing of beauty. The way Rio played in that season, in season 3, under, of course, the guidance of Coach Panda, who was one of the first few recognized and talented coaches in our league, nay, in the world for MLBB. They really unlocked something amazing within Rio, and he showed us what that great thing was. Yung instincts ni Rio, tsaka yung mechanics niya na ipinakita noon was amazing. And I'm not sure if he still got it or he still wants to, but it would be nice to have seen that era of MLBB and that era or that kind of play style come into this current iteration of our metagame, and then see how that goes, right? So again, that's Rio. That's Rio. My first honorable mention. My second honorable mention is a very different kind of mid laner. It's Aqua from RSG PH. He was once with Signal Ultra, and if I'm not mistaken, he's been part of a few other teams from there. But the thing about Aqua is again, he's a MPL champion, MSC champion. He's also very good at zoning. He's also very good at using space. Talagang naging aqua believer ako, aquanatics. I don't know what is Raider, since he's with RSG right now. I don't know what his fan base is called, but I'm an aqua believer because the way he played in MSC 2022, especially in the grand finals, when they took down RRQ Hoshi, dude, a handful of moments were single-handedly bought for them by Aqua's Eve. Or whatever the hell Aqua was playing that had amazing range or that required him to use space very, very well. Yun yung specialty ni Aqua in mid. He was amazing at using space, and I'm getting now some flashbacks from him in Season 7 with Signal Ultra. They struggled a lot, but when Aqua was playing, when it was Aqua you were looking at, there was something great there, always. I'm looking at, there's a moment in my head where he was playing Farsa. Alam nyo na yun, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So that's my second honorable mention. And my last honorable mention is one of my all-time favorite players in the history of MLBB. And the reason why I can't put him into the top 3 is because he's a multi-role. I'm talking about Bolozi, also known as Greed. He's now playing with Geek Fam Indonesia, and he debuted in Season 4, MPL Philippines with Onyx PH. So close, by the way. In his debut season, made it to the grand finals. Can you believe it? Why Bolozi? Well, again, besides his versatility, again, he's also known as a roamer sometimes. Sobrang ganda lang ng leadership ni Bolozi, and yung you can see how his tactics and his mechanics come together in game, and you see how that helps the rest of his team. This effectivity, this efficiency, the outcome or the result of that synergy shows itself in many different ways, in a modicum of outcomes. One way that it happens is he dies a lot. Bolozi is not playing a diggy, it looks like a diggy the way he's playing it, pero panalo sila. And then another way he's playing it, and again I have a moment in my head, is he's playing a freaking Lilia, right? He's playing a freaking Lilia. He's sitting at like 6-0 and 5. He's standing in front of the opponent's inhibitor, and he's just standing there. Ganun ka-dominant yung laro na yun because of how he led and how he helped his team out. And he's doing that from mid. So that's why he gets into my honorable mentions as the greatest mid laners in the history of our league. That's Bolozi, and you know, he has a special place in my heart. He's one of my favorite players. Let's go into my top 3, the list proper, my GOATs in mid. First up, I'd like to bring up M2 World Champion, SEA Games Gold Medalist, multi-time MPL Champion, you know who it is, idol ng mga kids. El Capitan, it's Few! Few is one of the few, all pun intended, multi-era players in the league. He is a multi-era champion. He's a lot like Eson. He was once teammates with Eson. So, that being said, he took what he learned, and he takes constantly what he's learning from every single time he wins and loses, and shares it with whoever he's with, right? Signal Ultra, champions. Brenny Sports, champions. Seaball in 2019 when they won the gold medal, champions. That's how Few operates. You're looking back, what great heroes he has. Few's amazing with the Selena. Few won us a gold medal with high damage dealers like Granger, right? Played whatever was meta in M2 in mid. So that being said, it's so hard to look at the MPL PH the same if you take Few out of the picture. So that alone makes him part of my greatest mid laners of all time, if not one of my Hall of Legends. I need to make that list soon. Next up in the top 3 is, we haven't seen him in a while, but the way he plays mid and the way he played mid really defined what it is to be a mage. Talking about Yuji, mage dad himself, part of the inaugural championship squad in Aether main, and of course, just a sweetheart. Sobrang nakakatuwa si Yuji as a person. He is one of my favorite people in the whole MLBB community. Whether he was in the MPL or not, especially now that he's more of a content creator, streamer, and analyst, he still watches games and he tries to break it down for his community. Sobrang daming pwedeng ma-share ni Yuji. And even now, still, that he's not part of the MPL, he's still contributing. The way he plays those heroes like Harith, Lunox, it really defined what it is to be a mage, what it is to be a mid laner. So, you can say na siya yung dad ng mga mages that followed here in the MPL. So, that's Yuji. And last but not least, in my top 3, my greatest mid laners of all time, I'd like to present to you the barangay captain himself, Eto Max. Currently playing for Smart Omega. He is an MSC champion, a multi-time grand finalist, and I think this man needs a championship, bro. Give Billy a trophy. Give Patrick a trophy. Sobrang tagal na rin hinahabol to ni Eto Max. And, okay, so, a little different from few, but there is some similarity. A little different from Yuji, but I think I've seen Eto Max take more risk and evolve right before my eyes a little more. Maybe it's because, you know, at this point, mas mahaba na yung linaro ni Eto Max and he's been in more things that I have been actively a part of as well. Pero, yun eh, yung fact na si Eto Max andyan pa rin, and now he's growing right before my eyes. Again, he's Eto Max. Sobrang Tito Max nito. He's letting KLVJ take a leadership role as well. Diba? So, barangay captain, he's sharing it with KLVJ now, the king. Here, you take some mid lane stuff as well. You lead the team in your own way. Ako upo. And that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. All right? So, because of that and a few more moments that may have happened off camera, shared a few moments with Eto Max, and I understand what fuels him. I understand what keeps him going. And that's something that translates beautifully into the matches that we watch. Na hindi ko na kailangan explain. Panoorin nyo na lang. Doon yung makikita kung ano yung sinasabi ko, ano ibig sabihin nun. And you'll understand also why I put him in my top 3 greatest mid laners of all time. So, with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up this video and I'm gonna wrap up my list. Don't forget to share yours as well. Put it in the comments. I have named Eto Max, Yuji, and Few as my candidates in my greatest mid laners in the history of MPL PH. I want to hear from you now, all right? Don't forget to click subscribe. And again, those who share their thoughts and just say hi in the comments, may get a chance to be featured in the next video. Alam niyo on roll yun. Y'all stay safe. Peace.